Hello everybody, hello from Koh Phangan in Thailand. Hello all my Facebook friends. Oh my gosh, so this is my first attempt at putting out a video. I've never done this before. You know, like usually I prefer to write. I'm obsessed with writing, aren't I? Usually I like to write very long articles, sometimes bordering on book length. But there's a reason why I wanted to put this out in video form, and that reason is going to become apparent. Well, I'll give you the reason now. This is the kind of thing that's going to be very beneficial for us all to be doing in these very weird times of isolation, because ultimately we need to be shining our essence from an astrological perspective, because that's what I'm going to be talking about, astrology. We need to be shining our suns. Now, what do I mean by that? So this chat is going to be about, well, psychological astrology. In fact, there is such a thing, and I'll explain to you in a minute. But namely, how we can look at the energy of the sun and the moon and our own, the sun and the moon in our own charts, to really help us survive and thrive actually through this really weird time, because it is really weird. Right, you know, I mean, most of us can't go out, we're not going to work, you know, all our daily routines have been stopped, we're not socializing, we're stuck at home for the most part, you know, in a lot of countries, particularly in the West. We're a little bit luckier here, but fundamentally, you know, activity has come to a halt, and as a result, we are not expressing our suns, and there's a danger of us becoming a little bit too moony. And another word for that is depressed, apathetic, emo, emotional. Yes, a lot of people are kind of suffering from depression and anxiety at the minute, you know, because it's natural, we don't know what's happening. But for the most part, it's because we're stuck at home and we're not producing anything. We're not being productive. And so I'll explain more about that in a minute. But first of all, I wanted to give a little bit of a rundown on astrology in general, because I know a lot of people are really skeptical, and I wanted to just explain as briefly, oh God, this is going to be difficult, but as briefly as I can about the astrological chart, because you know what? It really winds me up when people talk about star signs, because, you know, guys, there's no such thing as a star sign. You know, that's just a label that was given by newspapers, you know, when they started to put out horoscopes, you know, for entertainment. And what you think is your star sign is actually your sun sign. And what that fundamentally means is that when you were born, the sun was in a certain sign. So for example, my sun is in Libra, maybe yours is in Aries or Aquarius or whatever. Now, one of the main reasons why people disbelieve astrology, and one of the main arguments I normally hear is, well, it doesn't make sense, you know, like there are 12 signs, how can 1/12 of the population all be Libra? Well, yeah, that's not possible. It's not possible. But more to the point, how can even one person be Libra? You know, that would make that person like a caricature. Because if you think about each of the signs, you know, they're not even two-dimensional. They're stock characters. They're stock energies. You know, they're archetypal energies that work well in cartoons and in fantasy fiction films, but not in real life. So if you think about Aries, for example, you know, Aries is the warrior, it's ruled by Mars, so it denotes courage, it denotes winning, competition, drive, impulsiveness, competitiveness, I've already said that, hot-tempered, possibly selfish, you know, self-oriented, very much an individual, very much individually driven. And then conversely, you've got a sign like Pisces, which is very dreamy and compassionate and mystical, creative, sensitive, maybe a little bit codependent, maybe a little bit confused. Now, yeah, if you think about it, those are characters in a cartoon, but if any of you listening are either Aries or Pisces, you're going to know full well that even if, no matter what kind of exterior you present to the world, you're not just that. If that is the exterior you present to the world, it could be something else depending on your chart as a whole. You know, because you're a real mixed bag. You know, human beings are freaking complex. I mean, it would be great if we were just that. You know, life would be so simple. You know, we'd know exactly who we were from the word go. There would be no inner conflicts. There would be no confusions. There would be no different parts of our psyches all battling out, trying to understand what's going on. There would be no need to do any self-work. There would be no need for psychotherapy. We would just be stock characters. And life would be probably quite simple. At least it wouldn't be complex. You know, there probably wouldn't be there wouldn't be any issues in the external world, actually, because all issues that we come up against are a result of the conflicts that go on in our psyches. And this is because, like I said, we're very complex. We're not just made of the sun. The sun is, of course, very important. You know, if you look at the sun in the sky, if you look at the sun's role in the whole universe, it is the number one factor of life. You know, it's the planet, it's the star that all the planets revolve around. And so likewise, it's your core identity. It's the fire within, it's your creativity, it's your core. But like I said, you're made up of so much more than that. In fact, you're made up of 7 personal planets, plus 7 personal planetary energies that together make up the building blocks of your personality. So each planet denotes a different kind of facet of the psyche, facet of the personality. So you've got Mercury that governs how you think, how you communicate, how you learn. You've got Venus that gives us information about how we cooperate, how we love, what we love. You've got Mars, which is a very primal energy. It's how we assert our individuality, our sexuality, our inner drive, and so on and so forth. And when we are born, all of these, because essentially your astrological chart is a snapshot of the universe at the time and from the place you were born, where you were born. And so the planets could have been in any sign, and it could be any place in the universe. And so these are all creating conflicts inside us. You know, some energies that you have inside you probably don't mix very well, or some actually support other energies. So we're just a mixed bag. And it's what makes us the culmination of these building blocks and how they interact with each other, creating conflicts within and creating alliances as well, is what makes us who we are, like a completely unique individual. You know, we're not like anyone else. You know, my headmaster, when I was growing up, every morning in assembly, he would be banging on about the fact that we are unique. You know, there's never been anyone like you before, and there never will be again. And, you know, he was right. And in a way, I suppose it's quite funny that we're all like a little tiny slice of the universe, and we're all walking around wondering why, or trying to get on with each other, you know, and wondering why they don't think like that. And actually, because we have got each person, even if we might have similar views on things, we've got a completely different lens. We've got completely different identities, personalities, lenses through which we view the world. So yes, that's astrology in a nutshell. Your astrological chart is your own personal psychological blueprint. It's very useful. It's amazing tool. Anyway, enough about that. Let's go back to talking about the sun and the moon and how we can use them. Because at the moment, now we're all self-isolating. It's really important to be shining our suns, to be really not making sure that we're not going too deeply into our moon energy. Now I'm going to explain. I'm scrolling down at the minute because I've made notes. Otherwise I'm going to just babble in my usual form. Right, so let's look at the sun and the moon. What are the sun and the moon? What is the sun and the moon? Well, they work together. We call them luminary energies. And they're like polar opposites of the same kind of force. You know, they work together. One can't exist without the other. So the sun goes down, the moon comes up, and vice versa, creating movement, creating life. So the sun is, when it comes out, let's have a look at the sun. And this is the good thing about all ancient wisdom, all ancient knowledge, you know, that you only have to look at the world around us, and this includes nature, this includes when we work with plants as well as with planetary energies. You only have to look at how nature works in order to, you know, have really deep understandings about how we work and how life might work, or how life does work. So, okay, so what does the sun do? It comes out in the daytime, therefore it reflects. It doesn't reflect. It denotes light. It denotes consciousness. So by the same token, it denotes activity, creativity, productivity. It's a very yang energy, you know, it's a doing energy. Conversely, the moon it comes out at nighttime, so it's dark. It relates to the subconscious, not the conscious. Therefore, hidden things, perhaps things that are even hidden to yourself. You know, when you really go into, a lot of us now, when we go into our moon energy, we might find there's lots of perhaps deep traumas coming up that we haven't actually processed before, because we've been so immersed in our daily lives and our daily productivity that we haven't needed, or we haven't had the time to go deeply into this kind of hidden world. But that's what the moon represents. And because it's hidden, it also represents who we are when we're not out there doing things. And so it's who we are when we're at home. It's who we are when we're in private. So yeah, that's why when we're at home in our pajamas, scoffing, binging and binge watching Netflix or doing whatever we like, we're in our moon energy then. Yeah, by the same token, the moon refers to consumption. It refers to needs. It refers to instincts, you know. It's because for the most part, we're not really conscious. When we're really in our moon energy, we're not really conscious of what we're doing, you know, when we're just going by instinct, subconscious instinct that's kind of driving us to do things. For example, smoke cigarettes or think compulsively or do whatever it is that we're doing. At home for the most part, because the moon also refers to the home. It rules the sign of Cancer, so which is very home oriented. It rules needs, already said that, instinct, and most importantly, it rules the emotions. And this is what's happening at the minute, you know. And now that for the most part we're all isolated, none of us are going out, we're all stuck at home. Lots of us don't know what's going to happen next. A lot of us are not working. A lot of people have lost their jobs already. Yeah, we're all going really deeply into our moon energy. We're becoming very focused on our emotions. And, you know, that's, for me anyway, looking down on my wall over the last couple of weeks, there's a lot of posts. I mean, a lot of different kinds of posts, but a lot of posts, you know, people are talking about their feelings, of course. You know, we're all feeling a lot, and this is this situation is bringing up a lot of feelings. But we don't want to really we don't want to become too stuck in our feelings. This is the thing, because the moon, just like we women, should I really say that? It's true though. The moon isn't a stable energy. It's creative. It's moving. It's constantly moving. You know, it's never the same one day to the next. It's waxing, it's waning. It changes signs every 2.5 days. And so as a result, our feelings, you know, gosh, they're all over the place for the most part. I know mine are. You know, one minute I'm feeling like this, next minute I'm feeling like that. Meditation helps. It helps. That's just an aside. But yeah, if you are becoming too engrossed in your moon energy, so when the sun stops producing, so when the activity of the sun decreases, when you stop shining your essence, your core essence, your creativity, your fire, when that starts to go down, then you're going to go slap bang into your moon energy, and you're going to stay there. And then actually what can happen is that, well, a roller coaster, you know, you could be going through a whole roller coaster, and a lot of people are, and it's not fun, it's not pleasant, it's not it's not great, is it? And we don't really want to stay there for too long, do we? You know, because it can be depressing to be too ensconced in this in the emotions, because then that can really give you that sense of victimhood, and you know, then you becoming very subjective and you're isolating yourself even more. So and actually another reason why we don't want to stay in this too long is because, you know, there's no one big advice I really want to put out there is, don't just be staying at home waiting for all this to be over, because, you know, life is not going to be the same. This is not going to be over and everything reverts back to normal. I think most of us know this, but it's the truth, you know. Yeah, I mean, even after COVID-19, even after that starts to die down, then look, you know, for one thing, later on this year, all five of the collective outer planets are all going to be going retrograde, and that doesn't happen very often. And when it does happen, guess what? Yes, it creates a huge shift, and usually huge cataclysmic financial shifts. And so that's going to be happening, and so a lot of us aren't going to have jobs to go back to at the end of all of this. Life is not going to be the same. So yeah, the time is, and actually if we really use this time to really, instead of waiting for all this to be over and just kind of mooning about, it's actually to go into our sun energy and start to, and a lot of us are doing it already, I've seen loads of amazing posts, but really go into our production mode, our creative mode, and really start to shine our personal essence, bring it out and show it off. You know, who are you really? You know, what can you contribute to the world? Because I think this is one of the main positive changes. It's possibly the whole point of why this is all happening. We are shifting, you know, from the old patriarchal mindset, you know, where everyone was going to work, and or not everyone, but you know, this everyone having to be a certain way, you know, following the status quo, all of these patterns, all of this conditioning ingrained in our mindsets about how we need to be and what we need to be doing, and working for companies and following the rules. And not to say that there should be total anarchy, although I quite like that idea. But I'm talking about individuality. It's another astrological fact for you. There's another big shift happening, and that is that the planets a lot of the planets are changing elements this year. Saturn is already in Aquarius, and other planets will be following suit, and there's going to be huge shifts at the end of the year, around about the winter equinox. Now, Aquarius is a very revolutionary sign, and it's all about the collective. It's all about egalitarianism. It's all about freedom, and it's about individuality. So this is telling me that right now, this is a time for us all to be thinking about how we can make this shift. You know, when this is all over, things are not going to be the same again. So who do we want to be? Who are you really? And like I said, what can you contribute to the world? Because I think we are all being called right now to bring our own individual essence to the collective, And so we can all work together as one, you know. The earth is shifting. We're all kind of shifting in alignment, and we are all going to be moving away from that ideology of this is mine, this is what I do. It's going to be different. And it's not about everyone being the same. Like I said, it's about shining your own individual essence and putting yourself out there, shining your sun, and being productive. Now, I don't mean that, oh my God, so now I need to think about how I need to sustain myself and how I can be responsible for my own income. Yes, actually, we all need to start thinking about that. But I'm not talking about doing that right now. I'm talking about shining yourself in any way, your creativity, your fun side. Put yourself out there, so then you are doing something, you're producing something, and you're not just being a consumer. You're not just being in your moon energy, you are being in your sun energy, and you're shining yourself and you're producing. Because one of the things that COVID-19 is kind of doing, one of the effects of COVID-19 is that we are becoming more consumers, you know, because we're not doing anything, you know, we're at home and we're focused on our needs, we're focused on what we don't have, you know, we focus on the little things. Oh, I need to open the window. Oh, I need to have a snack. Oh, I need these kids to get out of my face. Oh, I need some sex. Whatever the case may be, we're kind of very focused on the self and not on production. And this is where you can change that by just sharing something of yourself, you know, just like a little video of anything, you know, anything that you're into, anything creative, anything that really kind of gets your spark going. So, and you can look at your chart for ideas. So for example, if your sun sign is Pisces, or if you've got a strong Neptune in your chart, perhaps you're super artistic or creative. Maybe you want to share some songs, you know. A friend of mine actually just a couple of weeks ago posted up an amazing song, and she just learned the ukulele. It was brilliant. So that's one example, but it doesn't have to be your sun sign. I mean, you could look at your moon in your chart. If your moon is very strong, then you can use that energy and put that out there instead. So for example, a friend of mine, she has a very strong moon. It's in the 10th house, which is an angular house, and it's in Taurus. Now, both the moon and Taurians, they love food, and so perhaps she might want to put out a recipe. She might want to film herself cooking something up and showing it to us. Yeah, why not? I have a very strong moon. It's in Gemini. It's actually my chart ruler because my rising sign is Cancer. And the thing is with a moon in Gemini, so any moon in the air sign is going to make you think. So less feeling, more thinking. And so if I become too moony, if I'm not actually producing something, if I'm not doing anything, then some of you are already going to know this. You're going to be nodding your heads. Yeah, I overthink everything. And because it's in the 12th house, I mean, each house means a multitude of different things, but one of the meanings of the 12th house is it's the house of self-undoing, which means if I'm too much in my moon, guess what? I become like chronically anxious. I mean, really, it's so debilitating. And it stops me sleeping. It gives me really bad insomnia because the 12th house also refers to sleeping patterns. It describes what you're doing when you're asleep. It describes sleeping in general, describes your bedroom, because it's the last house in the wheel. So to offset that, that's why I love writing, that's why I love communicating. If I use the energy wisely and if I put it out there, then it kind of stops me being too moony, and it stops me just going absolutely crazy, to be honest with you. It's funny, when I was in London last year, I was going through periods of chronic anxiety, and I would be turning up at my friend Jo's house. Now, Jo is not an astrologer. She's a very talented clairvoyant and clairsentient, and she would say to me, Karen, just write. You need to write. You know, you don't have to publish anything just yet, but just write, automatic writing, that's really going to help. And that's reflected in the astrological chart as well. So by putting my writing out there or by communicating, then that really helps me. The moon, by the way, is not a bad planet. It's not a malefic planet. It's, you know, feelings and emotions are really important, but we need to be able to channel them. We need to really be able to use the energy wisely, because if we are just letting our emotions and feelings run away with ourselves, then, especially at this time, then, you know, it's not the greatest, is it? And most importantly, when we are producing things, when we're doing things for others, that's when the real rewards come, you know, because actually that's the main thing. You know, as May, my teacher, says really beautifully, you know, when the sun rises, the moon disappears. So when we're producing, when we are active, and when we're putting ourselves out there for the benefit of others, and actually I think that's one of the main ways in which a lot of business entrepreneurs would say that if you want to have a successful business, then it needs to be not self-motivated. It needs to have some benefit to others, right? So when you're putting yourself out there and it's to help other people, then actually any negative psychological implications from your moon in your chart are gonna disappear. Yeah, and that's really beautiful. I think there's another quote, isn't there? It says something like, you know, well, altruism, you know, true kindness, how altruistic is it? Because at the end of the day, it helps you more than anything. It's better to give than to receive, and all the rest of it. So yeah, put yourselves out there. You know, it doesn't have to be anything groundbreaking. You could just talk, just put your face out there, shine your suns, give something of yourself that might engage and entertain. So I really want to see your faces. You know, I want to see your cooking recipes, because I'm shit in the kitchen. I want to hear you talk about book reviews. I want to see you doing your exercises in the garden. Anything that you think you want to share, then share it. Be productive, be creative, shine your suns, and don't be too moony. Don't be moony. So that's it. I hope I haven't gone on too long, and I hope you found this interesting. If you have any questions about the sun or the moon in your chart, or any comments at all, just put them in the comment box and I will try to answer them. And if you think this might help anyone, any of your friends who are feeling particularly moony right now, then just feel free to share, or send it to them, or do whatever you have to do. And get your faces out there, shine your suns, go into your emotions by all means, but don't stay there for too long. This is a very crucial change that's happening on the planet, and we are all called to be part of it, and not by following the masses, not by following the powers that be, not by doing what we're told we should be doing, just by shining our own individual creative essences. So yeah, enjoy, and I love you all, and I will maybe be back another time. Okay, bye.